Mayor Nir Barkat did quite a lot of good for the city. Some of the times I was in the coalition, some of the times I was in the opposition, and then back in the coalition, and then I joined the Knesset. I think that there are major challenges that haven't been dealt with, a lot that have to do with urban planning. On the one hand, the city of Jerusalem is the size of Paris, but it feels very crowded, even though it's not crowded at all. And the problem is that we're not planned well enough. We stand in traffic jams, the apartments aren't built well enough, and we really need to realize that in 2048, which means 100 years for the State of Israel, we're going to be the most crowded country in the OECD, in the relevant countries. And once we realize that, we need to think differently of urban planning, especially in Jerusalem, that we're a city that the planning and the building is even more complicated and sophisticated. Second major issue is everything that has to do with job opportunities. Unfortunately, the youngsters are leaving Jerusalem. And I think that more than anything, we need to make sure that the capital of Israel is a city that people enjoy living in. It can't be, you can't only have people that live here for ideology. You have to have people that want to live here and can live here. And you know, when Mayor Barkat, when he started his first term a decade ago, he said he's going to make it clear, or he's going to change the situation in Jerusalem, that a lot of people will want to live in the city. And he was very successful in that. And 2.5 years into his first term, I met with him and I said, you know, Nir, you've done an amazing job in that. But now we have to see how we can make sure that people not only want to live in the city, but actually can live here and have a good life with education and housing and job opportunities. And I know that he made a lot of effort there, but unfortunately we're not there yet.
You mentioned the tribes, and one of the tribes that even President Rivlin related to is the Arab population. And in Israel and in Jerusalem, some of them are not even Israeli citizens. How do you relate to that challenge? Because it is a challenge.
It's a big challenge, but it's definitely a challenge that we can deal with. I think more than anything, when we just look at everything in a civil way. Once we start looking at these issues, we start adding national issues, it gets much more complicated. We have a member in our party, someone that is very active. His name is Ziad. He lives in Eastern Jerusalem. And he was one of the founders of MADA. How do you say MADA?
Magen David Adon.
No, in English.
First aid, the...
MADA. You know what MADA is?
It's not Red Cross.
Thank you. Okay, they know. It's okay. They know. He founded MADA in Eastern Jerusalem. And I think this is a very Jerusalemite kind of story. Because what happened is that after there was a wave of terror, so whenever the ambulances would be called into Eastern Jerusalem, when they would start driving in, they were stoned. And then they had to wait for the police to escort them. But as they were waiting for the police to escort them, people at Eastern Jerusalem were dying while they were waiting for the ambulance. And then the residents of Eastern Jerusalem said, hey, maybe instead of the police escorting the ambulances, we can do it. And they got together and they organized, you know, on WhatsApp groups that tell people when they need cars to come and escort the ambulance to make sure they won't be stoned. And as that started, they became active in MADA, and today there are many volunteers in Eastern Jerusalem. They also give first aid. They're learning how to be paramedics. Learning to be paramedics became an amazing job opportunity for women in Eastern Jerusalem. And here you are, one small story that shows how we can really make a difference and work together and live together when we take the major issues or the ideological issues out and we look at everything that has to do with day-to-day life. And I think this is the way we have to deal with Eastern Jerusalem. See what the needs are and figure out how to make it work. I think that sometimes people think that Jerusalem is much more separate, Eastern and Western Jerusalem, than what actually happens. In Jerusalem, we live together. We have a city that you can sometimes even hear the city's heartbeat. And I don't believe there can ever be a happy city if there's a wall that goes down the city. And that's why I think that Jerusalem has to stay united, and we have to make sure that we give the opportunities to people in Eastern Jerusalem, job opportunities, educational opportunities, health opportunities, everything to make sure that their life will be as good as possible, and there's no reason their life wouldn't be good.
Short answer, please. Applause. That is short answer, please. Let's say you're elected as mayor. Good luck. What's the first thing you want to do when you go into office? as a mayor?
So there are 5 different issues that I want to focus on. And the first thing I'll do is I'll take every one of the departments and sit with them and figure out with them what's the plan and how we're going to make what the progress we want to make in a year. 1 is education, 2nd is housing, 3rd is job opportunities, 4th is transportation, and 5 is culture. These are the issues that we have to deal with every one of the different groups, the segments of Israeli society here in Jerusalem. And I learned very closely that when you take on yourself responsibility, and if you sit with the people that have to make it happen, if you sit with them weekly, at the end, it happens. In Jerusalem, unfortunately, too many people say, you know, it's a hard city. It's too difficult. People don't pay enough taxes. We have too many segments of Israeli society. How can we make it work? Now, I'll tell you, I'm a mother of 4. And sometimes I feel that they think of Jerusalem like a child with learning disability. Okay, he has learning disability, but we can still figure out how to make it work. We can't just keep saying, oh, it's a very complicated city. We have to make it work. And I don't know how many of you think about it that way, but once you figure out this is something that we have to do, and this is our Zionist responsibility, and this is what we have to make happen, to figure out how to make everyone live together and how to run the city so it will be an amazing city, this will happen.
Knesset member Rachel Azaria, thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.